So I understand what you're doing. You're basically trying to simplify or almost, Appleify or Googleify this process that is so frustrating and so confusing that every consumer deals with. Mm-hmm. But, to scale, you're competing with these companies that are merging, and they're only getting bigger. I mean, you said to me earlier, you're now only 1/20th the size of your next biggest competitor.
The age.
Oh, the age. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I mean, how are you going to get there? Because that's the answer to this business. I mean, you have 40,000. You've actually more than that now. You have
now around 85,000 members. We doubled in about the last 4 weeks or so. Since open enrollment started November 1st, 2015, we doubled about in size.
But they have millions. So how is the goal? What will success be? Will success be getting as big as those giant insurance companies?
First and foremost, the goal is that people like us. I think everything else follows from there. If we can make people like us a lot, if we can make people recommend us to their friends, growth will follow. If we can then also lower the cost of healthcare, which is another very important goal we've always had since the beginning, I think then we check all the boxes we need to check. So how we're going to get there, to me, the part of the answer there is that the healthcare system overall is changing. We've, in this country, had for the past decades or so a healthcare inflation that's now led us to spending 18% of GDP on healthcare. Every other rich country in the world, Switzerland, Japan, Germany, France, and so on, spend about 9 or 10% of GDP on healthcare. So we somehow have been able to get ourselves in a system where we spend twice as much, get none of the outcomes. Generally, in quality rankings across the globe, we still rank dead last against other rich countries. That now is at a point where it needs to be rethought, and the healthcare system has realized it needs to be rethought. And we're realizing that these years of 6, 7, 8% healthcare inflation have to come to an end. And so what that did now in the healthcare system is it made hospital CEOs, it made physician practice leaders and so on think, we got to reorganize the way we get paid. We got to get paid, starting to get paid for taking risk, essentially, with insurance carriers. We got to get paid for producing better outcomes and keeping people out of the hospital rather than getting them into the hospital to charge them there. And in that world, in this shifting world, we can play as big of a role as any incumbents. One very simple example for what's happening there is the rise of deductibles. If you go a couple of years back, 5 years back or so, deductibles, what you pay out of pocket before the insurance company kicks in, were maybe present in single-digit numbers of employer plans.
Right, I understand that. But you're also spending a lot of money as well. I mean, you raised $320 million. You lost 37-something last year. It costs a lot of money to build this business and to get these customers. So what will it take to turn you to profitability, and when do you think that will happen?
It'll happen the next 2 years.
2 years.
Yes, and it'll happen when we have probably about twice as many members as we have now, roughly 2 or 3 times or so, is when we can get into the range. And it will happen if we continue to demonstrate that we can actually lower healthcare costs.